The word Rococo derives from the word racaille, the name for the shellwork and rockwork that was so popular in garden grottos during the reign of the French king Louis XIV. The symmetrical, well-ordered architecture, interiors and garden layouts that he preferred reflected the control this Sun King exercised over everyone throughout the 17th century as he sought perfection in life. Louis XV was 5 years of age in 1715 when his grandfather died, and his uncle Philippe, Duc d'Orléans, became regent. Philippe presided over a period of peace in Europe that enabled its economies to become buoyant. He moved the court back to Paris, which by 1720 was a city of narrow, noisy, filthy and smelly streets, surrounding the houses of wealthy owners and only access through alleyways. These were a public theatre where behaviour was shaped by inescapable promiscuity. The French painter Jean-Honoré Fragonard, 1732 to 1806, captured the mood of a new, independent, rich, less discreetly immoral society, clamouring for novelty. In his painting The Swing, an unknown nobleman celebrates the considerable charms of his mistress, and as women didn't wear undergarments at this time, you can quite understand his pleasure. A change to what we now know as the Rococo style was definitely required. It was delicately elegant, with a distinct preference for asymmetry and the extensive use of C and S scrolls. It was about movement, and above else about a mood, an atmosphere of fancy, frivolity and fun. Many of its designs were sophisticated and enchantingly pretty, and a great deal of gold was required to highlight its use of bright, clear colours. The Rococo manifested itself in the decoration of intimate, luxurious, harmonious interiors that were a perfect setting for the enjoyment of a circle of intimate friends. Poetry reading aloud questioned established mores, engendering intellectual discussion among friends, and it became extremely fashionable. Following his marriage in 1732, the Prince de Rohan commissioned German architect Germain Buffon, 1667 to 1754, to design the lovely Hôtel de Soubise. It is a rare Rococo style survival, as the French have a predilection for changing fashion. Its beautiful boiseries or panelled rooms were composed of soft, flowing, sensuous shapes which seemed to have no fixed points at all, flowing rhythmically, just like the music of the time. La Petite Déjeuner, painted around 1739 by artist François Boucher, depicts a family sharing breakfast in a Rococo-style room in a middle-class house. The furnishings are tasteful, but not really luxurious. The cane chairs are ready-made, the carved console table installed with its Rococo-style panelling. The fashionable tea table was purchased from a Marchand Mercier, a dealer in elegant accessories and trifles. After centuries of treating children as miniature adults, there is now a look of care on the faces of the parents, and the scene is one of delightful Rococo informality, pleasing to behold. In the great outdoors, the Rococo was about creating a scene for pleasure. A gardener was not expected to spend hours pruning, so everything was controlled. He was encouraged to allow trees and shrubs to throw out sinuous, arching, graceful branches, and to let old clipped hedges soften through purposeful neglect. Bright, pretty flowers provided bursts of colour and were a deliberate aspect of its essential element, for that of delight and surprise. When Louis XV ascended the throne, unlike his grandfather, he had to share the limelight with his nobles and take notice of the thoughts and wishes of the bourgeoisie or middle classes. They were gaining an education, questioning established ideas of thought. In this milieu, women gained a voice, presiding over the art of conversation and manners in their influential salons. Louis XV officially met his most impressive middle-class mistress at a magnificent costume ball held in the Galerie de Glace in February 1745 to celebrate the wedding of his son, the Dauphin, to Maria Theresa, daughter of Philip V of Spain. From the age of 9, when a fortune teller told her that she would reign over the heart of a king, Jean Antoinette Poisson was known to her family as Rainette. They married her off advantageously at 17, and she promised her husband she would never leave him, except for the king. At the ball, one of the 8 cleverly contrived yew trees was in fact the king in fancy dress. Madame d'Etoiles appeared dressed as the Roman goddess of the hunt, Diana, and she dropped her handkerchief as a single yew tree approached. Although the scene was cleverly contrived, he feigned being charmed and picked it up, signalling his choice to everyone. The king's mistress had enormous power at court, and no one would believe that a member of the bourgeoisie could learn its political intricacies. But learn them and carry them off she did, and when her husband was told, he fainted dead away. Louis gave Jean the title Marquise de Pompadour, with the deeds to an estate of this name bearing her own coat of arms, 3 castles on an azure blue ground. He removed the court from Paris back to Versailles, where as his acknowledged mistress she lived for 20 years, influencing all the arts at France and the continuing use of the delightful Rococo style. From the moment of her arrival, she directed and inspired everyone and everything, including the delightful decoration and colours of Sèvres porcelain. She was the patron of many artists, including her favourite painter, Francois Boucher, whose many images depict her as a sophisticated lady of impeccable style. The Marquise de Pompadour's patronage of the fashionable Rococo style of her day ensured that it became an exercise of intellect and so much more than just a sinuous line. When her brother Abel became Louis's Minister for the Arts, he remarked that not one of her portraits was like her, so she remains an enigma to history in that respect. A painting of Madame de Pompadour with her brother depicts them discussing a model of the Petit Trianon, a delightful pavilion to be built in the grounds of Versailles for her and the king. It reveals in its architecture that she knew, before she tragically died, aged 44, on the 15th of April 1764, that an increasing interest in the ancient societies of Greece and Rome, as well as advances in science, would mean the emergence of a new, more serious, but simply elegant classical style.